closer to you. We're currently live streaming. We have a green. Yes. Okay, this worked. Okay. Yes. Okay. This is fantastic. So for those of you on Instagram, thank you for your patience. I really, now I'm going to fix my shirt because I notice it's pulling across my chest, which I really don't like. Okay. Let's get present because we have a really important coffee talk today. I'm going to pull up Tracy, who is in Boston, who is going to be sending me your questions and comments as she sees them come up on Twitter, on Instagram, on YouTube, on Facebook, and hopefully soon on LinkedIn. My name is Mel Robbins. This is Coffee Talk. This is a live weekday broadcast that we do every single weekday to the best of our ability. The only thing that stops us from doing it is a tech breakdown, which those of you on Instagram just witnessed us live navigating it. And if you'll notice, we didn't panic at all, did we? That's because you can figure anything out and there's no need to get stressed out about things that you can't control. For those of you that are just joining us, if you're just joining us on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, welcome. Please tell me where you're watching from. And today on Coffee Talk, what we're talking about is whether or not you're hiding in plain sight. Now, the reason why I want to talk to you about whether or not you're hiding in plain sight is because if you're not the real you, the people who are looking for you can't find you. I'm going to say that again. If you're not living your life, if you're not showing up at work, if you're not going through the process of dating, and being the real you, the people who are looking for you can't find you. And the secret to life, and this is so hard to grasp, is to just be yourself. That's the secret. There's only one you. There's only ever going to be one you. There's never going to be another you. And the way you make your mark in this world, the way that you learn how to believe in yourself, the way that you discover the people that you're supposed to surround yourself with, the job that you or career path that you're supposed to have, is by being the real you. And it's terrifying. I get it. I was a chameleon for a very long time. And when I say long time, I mean like the first 40 some years of my life. And what does it mean to be a chameleon? Being a chameleon means that you adapt to your surroundings and you blend in. That you're scared to let the real you be seen. I mean, think about a chameleon. They hide in plain sight. And so if you are in a relationship like I used to be in relationships and I wasn't even present. I was hiding in plain sight. I was a chameleon. If you were somebody that I was dating and you liked the Grateful Dead, guess what I liked? I liked the Grateful Dead. If you like to eat pizza, guess what I liked? I like to eat pizza. If you like to sit around and watch baseball for 3.5 hours, guess what I like to do? Not really, but guess what I would do and pretend that I would like to you, because I was so convinced that I was not a good person, that I was not likable. I was terrified of disappointing anybody. And it may be hard to believe that because you see me now, but this is how I live my life. And the problem with being a chameleon, and give me a thumbs up if you can relate to this. And here's another challenge I have for you. Let's come out of hiding right now. Tell me, confess to yourself, where is it in your life that you're hiding in plain sight right now? That the real you isn't present? Is it at work? Do you have ideas at work and you just show up and go through the motions and you don't put yourself or your best work out there? Are you hiding in plain sight because you're at a job that you can't stand? Are you hiding in plain sight because you're in a relationship and you know that the person that you're with has all of the power in the relationship? You're scared of upsetting him or her, and so you stay quiet or you don't make the requests that you need to make. Are you hiding inside a body that's not truly who you are? That you're hiding in plain sight and underneath the body that you're in, whether you're way unhealthy, too skinny, or you're overweight and you know that that's not the real you, but you're hiding in plain sight because you're scared to be seen. This is a major issue for a lot of us. And when you think about the areas in your life where you are hiding in plain sight, and please, Tracy, if you see where people are giving me examples, or Audrey, let me hear some examples.
Work,
relationships.
And school a lot.
School a lot. I bet in school you maybe aren't taking classes or majoring in what you really care about. Maybe you're not asking questions because you're afraid to look stupid. Relationships, this is huge. And the reason why it's huge in relationships, and where so many of you are hiding in plain sight, is that you're afraid of getting rejected. You're afraid of disappointing somebody. You're afraid of rocking the boat. And so you don't. You just blend in like a chameleon does. Now, one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about this is because, as many of you know, in addition to being a motivational speaker, and that's exactly why we're here in San Diego, in literally 20 minutes, I'm going to go downstairs at the hotel that we're in, and I'm going to be giving a keynote address, talking about the 5-second rule and the power of 5-second decisions. In addition to being a motivational speaker, I am also an international best-selling author. I wrote the 5-second rule, which is the #1 selling self-published audiobook in the history of audiobooks. Very, very proud of that. The 5-second rule has been translated into 36 languages, and this is just in 2 years, you guys. And more importantly, we have gone on to partner with Audible, and we put out what are called Audible Originals, which are audiobooks that you can listen to only on Audible, and they're all coaching programs. And so we launched one 3 weeks ago about. It'll be 3 weeks ago, I guess on Thursday maybe, called Take Control of Your Life. It's so cool. It's 10 hours long. It's 6 coaching sessions. And in addition to listening to the coaching sessions where people talk about their greatest fear, and do you want to know what the greatest fear is for most of us? Being seen. We're so afraid to just be ourselves. And I think that the reason why is there is a hardwired need based on survival to be part of a pack. That there is safety in a pack, that when you were little, you couldn't survive without your parents taking care of you when you were little. So it's part of our DNA to want to be accepted and to want to be connected. And when you were little, you start to realize when your parents are angry or when they're upset with you or when your mom's having a bad day or when your dad's in a bad mood, and you start to maneuver those emotional landmines that were happening in your house. And most of us maneuver them by either staying quiet or getting out of the way or being so afraid that we're going to disappoint somebody or set them off that we become very small and silent. And the problem is that when you start doing that when you're little, you carry that into your adult life. And so if you're stuck in a pattern where you're constantly in relationships where you're picking the wrong person, or you're in relationships where you don't have the courage to be yourself. You don't have the courage to say to your boyfriend or girlfriend, when I'm out with my friends, don't Snapchat me 35 times, okay? It's controlling and manipulative, and it's making me angry. When you text me and I don't text right back, stop giving me shade, okay? When you keep bringing up the past as a way to manipulate me, it makes me feel bad. You don't even say that. You know what you do? You're a chameleon that hides in plain sight by shutting up. We all do it. And in fact, I was a master at this. I was a master of it, and I can trace it all the way back to a particular instance when I was in 4th grade. When I was in 4th grade, I was molested by another kid while I was sleeping on a family trip. We were on a big ski trip, and an older kid climbed on top of me, and I woke up in the middle of it. And that was not the part that traumatized me, as weird as it is to say that. Looking back and deconstructing the moment, I can tell you the part that actually changed the trajectory of my life. In the morning when I woke up, all the kids were getting ready to go skiing, and so I hid under the covers because I didn't want to see this kid. And when I thought they were all gone, I got up and I went downstairs, and my mom was cooking breakfast in the kitchen, and I thought all the kids had left, and my mom turned and said, "Oh, hi, how'd you sleep?" And I was about to say what happened, and I turned and I saw the kid standing there ready to go out the door. And I paused and I became a chameleon. I hid in plain sight. I lied. I said fine. I slept fine. And something happened in that moment. What happened is nothing. Nobody got upset. I didn't get in trouble. I didn't disrupt anything. I didn't create any waves. And in that moment, I learned that being a chameleon is how you deal with situations that scare you. It's how you make sure nobody's upset with you. It's how you stay with the pack. It's how you don't get in trouble. Not that I was going to get in trouble, but this is how a fourth grader processes this stuff. And literally, my version of being a chameleon was to lie. It was to walk into any situation and assess what was going to make me liked or make me accepted or make me popular or not upset somebody. And I just say that. If you were a vegan, what did I have for lunch? I had a veggie burger. If you like the Grateful Dead, what did I like to listen to? I like the Grateful Dead. Hell, I even sewed one in the middle of I got a Grateful Dead patch in college because a lot of the kids I started hanging out with like the Dead. You know what I did? I literally sewed a patch on the back of my jacket, a Deadhead patch. How stupid is that? But I was a chameleon. I was hiding in plain sight. In fact, this carried on all the way through until I met Chris, who I've been with now, 94, 25 years Chris and I have been together. God bless him. Oh my God. The first few moments that I met him, I lied to him. I'm not proud of that, but I was such a chameleon that the behavior, the pattern, it was so hardwired in my mind that I was trapped in it. I didn't even see it. So Chris is a huge outdoorsman. He started talking about skiing and about hiking and about his experience with Knowles, which is the National Outdoor Leadership School. And I was immediately smitten. So what did I tell him? That I grew up fishing. That's true. But I grew up trolling, which basically means you stand in a boat and you drive the boat slow and you throw tackle overboard attached to a string and you hope you snag a fish. That's what trolling is. It's not truly fishing. It's more like trying to snag something. But fly fishing, now that's really cool. So I told him I grew up fly fishing because he asked me, what kind of fishing? And I said, chameleon, hide in plain sight. I got a guy here that I really like, and he's clearly an outdoorsman, so I'm going to say the cool thing instead of the true thing. I'm hiding plain fly fishing. Now, I tell this story in Take Control of Your Life because how was I supposed to know that Chris's best friend lived in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and was a fly fishing instructor, and that I would find myself 3 months later on the bank of a river in Utah, meeting his best friend and his wife for the first time, where they pulled out, to my surprise, fly rods, and I had to confess to Chris inside our tent that night that I had no idea how to do it. And Chris, to his credit, laughed at me. I was mortified. And it wasn't until a couple years later when I remembered the incident in fourth grade that I put all the pieces together, that I could see the pattern, that I was a chameleon. I could see the reason why I constantly tried to blend in. But here's the thing you got to understand. If you're hiding in plain sight, the people who are looking for you can't find you. And so has it ever occurred to you that the reason why you're not happy in your job doesn't have anything to do with your job? It has to do with the fact that you're being a chameleon at work. You're hiding. And if the real you were to show up, what I know is something different would happen. You would show up differently at work. That might lead to you leaving your job if you show up differently, or it might make your job more enjoyable. It might make everything shift. Same thing with relationships. You're never going to be in a fully committed, connected relationship if you're hiding in plain sight, because you're not with the right person if you're not being yourself. If you don't have the courage to be everything that you are and everything that you're not, if you're a chameleon in your relationships, you're never going to find the person that you're supposed to be, because the person you're supposed to find is yourself. And if you're constantly with people that you feel you need to hide your real self from, you're not with the right person. You're not with yourself. And so how do you fix this? Well, one of the things that you can do is, because we talked about this extensively at Take Control, the audio project that we just released. And, here's the thing. You're going to have to address a pattern and a limiting belief that has become the default setting in your mind. I had to do the same thing. And in order to stop being a chameleon, in order to stop hiding in plain sight, in order to be fully seen for who you are and who you're not, you're going to have to confront the limiting belief that you're not enough. You're going to have to confront the limiting belief that you're not a good person. You're going to have to confront whatever garbage it is that you say to yourself that makes you hide, because you have made the decision that you, all that you are and all that you're not, is not good enough. And so the thing about breaking the pattern of being a chameleon is that the moment that you start stepping out in the open, you start sharing yourself, you start pushing yourself to do things that are scary, you start drawing boundaries in relationships, you start leaving relationships where you feel like you must be a chameleon. You start leaving situations that make you feel like a chameleon. You stop yourself from lying and you tell the truth and then you brace for it. When you start to break the pattern of being a chameleon, something incredible happens. By acting in a way that you're willing to be seen and to be heard for who you are and who you're not, you're proving to yourself that you don't have to hide. And as things start to change in your life, the people that are toxic disappear, your work starts to align with who you truly are, what actually happens is all the right things start to find you because you're now open and able to be seen. So the things that are supposed to come to you, the right people, the right job, the right connections, the right even media and movies and books you're supposed to read, all of that stuff will magically start to appear because now you're out in the open attracting it. It is so powerful. And we spend a lot of time. In fact, one of the coaching sessions is with a woman named Amy, and we spend the majority of her coaching session talking about being a chameleon and how it is, in her case, impacting her primarily at work. And we talk about how she traces it all the way back to growing up in a household where her mom was a perfectionist and the standards were very high and she was afraid to upset everybody. And of course, now that's carried over into her work life. And so if you are committed to breaking through this, you should absolutely listen to Amy's session on Take Control of Your Life. And if for whatever reason you don't want to or you can't afford to, don't worry, I got you covered. If you go to melrobbins.com/take control, you will find a link to be able to download a free, that's right, free, no strings attached, 55-page workbook that my team created to serve as a companion to the audiobook Take Control of Your Life. And Amy's session, you can find all kinds of exercises that you can do for free on page 42 of our workbook, which is found at melrobbins.com/take control. And you can identify the situations where you act like a chameleon. And we will also walk you through the steps that you can go through in order to change it. Now, here's the other thing. Chameleon, that term, it's also the same thing as being a people pleaser. That's what it really means. That your whole mode is about making sure everybody around you is okay and taken care of and nobody's upset with you. That is classic chameleon behavior. Here's the other thing I want to say that's a giant disclaimer about being a people pleaser or being a chameleon. If you have suffered trauma, so you're a victim of domestic violence, you were abused as a child, you've experienced a sexual assault, you've been abused in some way, there's a big difference between PTSD and the things that you do to protect yourself because you've experienced legitimate trauma, not even legitimate trauma, you've experienced trauma yourself, and being a people pleaser. And so it's important for you to also understand that if that's part of your past, it's essential that you go and you seek out some therapy to unpack all of that. Because what you may be stuck in is not sort of what I was doing, which is the lying and the people pleasing in order to fit in, but you may be stuck in a PTSD pattern that's more about your survival and about the way that you get triggered when you feel threatened. And that's a really important distinction to make when you think about how you apply what I'm talking about to your own life. But even so, go to melrobbins.com/take control. Download the workbook, look at page 42, and if you start to feel like this is deeper than a habit or a pattern of behavior that you developed to deal with situations when you were a kid, but this is also directly related to experiences of trauma, by all means, get the professional help one-on-one that you deserve and that this kind of issue demands. Let's see. The other place that you can look at when it relates to trauma is we address this in the workbook on page 47. So if you go to page 42 at melrobbins.com/take control, you download the workbook, you do the exercises related to being a chameleon, and hey, Tracy, can you throw any questions in there, please? Because we got to wrap this up, and I need to be able to see them as they come in. Thank you. And please, if you have any questions, ask us right now, because I'm about to wrap this up, because I got to be downstairs in exactly 8 minutes to get ready to deliver this speech today. But if you look at page 47, there's also the connection to trauma and untangling the deep roots that may be connected to your pattern and habit of being a chameleon and hiding in plain sight. Let's see. Lisa asked, Mel, in listening to Amy, I see that I always feel guilty, even if I had nothing to do with what was going on. What the hell? What the hell? If you always feel guilty, I guarantee you that it's something to do with your parents. You either watched your mother do that, or guilt was something that was wielded in your family, and when somebody made you feel guilty, it was the way that they manipulated you. And so you now, in your adult life, impose it on yourself because you're so used to it being imposed on you as a kid. You see, we learn behavior in patterns, and particularly with guilt. Guilt is a shaming and a making wrong that you feel about things that have happened. And guilt serves zero purpose except to make you feel miserable when you do it to yourself. A lot of people use guilt to manipulate other people. If you're using it on yourself, it tells me that you probably grew up with somebody that used it to manipulate you. They didn't know any better. You know, if you know better, you do better. So don't spend your time bashing that person. Let's break apart the pattern, because it's no longer serving you. It's just a default. That's it. It's just a habit, and you can break it if you'd like. Audrey, what do we got?
Someone said, what if being your true self could cause family and friends to leave you?
What if being your true self could cause family or friends to leave you? You have a very important question that only you can answer. Is it more important for you to be in fake relationships with friends and family where you can't be yourself? Or is it important to you that you finally feel the freedom to be you? And look, I realize that there are high stakes if being the real you means that you are going to live openly as a gay man or woman, or you are going to live as a transgender male or female. And that there are lots of instances where families kick people out and shame you, and where there are legitimate concerns. But what I will tell you is that I bet if you're in that situation and you go online and you start researching some of the resources that are out there, every single man or woman in that situation will tell you that it was very difficult when they were going through it, but they will never, ever, 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 ever regret the choice to be their true selves, period. So I don't want to sugarcoat the real hurt and the nastiness that you might experience if you are the real you and your family and friends reject you. Anybody that's ever gone through a divorce and said, I'm not happy, and sees their entire friend group leave them, experiences exactly what you're talking about. By saying, I'm no longer in this marriage and I need to be myself because I don't like who I am in this marriage, and I can't change the dynamic in this marriage, and you get a divorce, and then you see all of your friends disappear who were friends of the marriage. You go through that experience. But every single person that I know, as painful as divorce is, as isolating as it is, as confronting as it is, as game-changing as it is, when they get down the road and they can be them full selves, this is 1,000% the right decision. Because, you know, if you act like a chameleon and you hide in plain sight, you've basically put yourself in your own jail. And the only way to free it is to be the real you. That's the key. You have the key. Penner on Instagram asks, how does imposter syndrome relate to being a chameleon? So imposter syndrome is the self-doubt that you impose on yourself when you are scared to try something that is new, or that is a risk, or that is outside your comfort zone. So imposter syndrome is the self-doubt associated with kind of stepping across, like if you're here and you want to take a big leap in your career or you want to start a big business, it's the self-doubt about this gap right here. So you're right here and you feel comfortable, you're going to jump to here and put yourself out there. Imposter syndrome is the self-doubt that you feel when you start to manage that gap. It's self-imposed. Chameleon, being a chameleon, is really about managing, and hiding in plain sight is managing whether or not people accept you. It's managing about people's reactions to you. It's managing people's disappointments. We hide in plain sight to fit in. We hide in plain sight so we don't upset people. We impose imposter syndrome on ourselves because we're scared of taking risks and we're scared of the knowledge gap that comes with doing something new. It's a protection mechanism. Erin said I was such a chameleon that I even took up smoking for years. Me too. Oh my God. My sophomore year in college, I smoked pot like a fiend because all my friends did. Junior year, I started hanging out with the super cool crowd at Dartmouth, very alternative crowd, artists, really cool people, way cooler than me, and I became a chain smoker. In fact, there's a lot of research about this. This is why the people that you hang out with are so important, because behavior is contagious. If you hang out with people that smoke, because you're with people that do it all the time, it lowers your internal objection to it and you start to adopt the pattern. Same thing with drinking. Same thing with sobriety. You hang out with people that don't drink. You hang out with vegans. You hang out with people that exercise. You can catch good behavior and bad behavior. Just make sure that you're always monitoring it back against who are you? Who's the real you? You know, there's an interesting quote that my husband Chris once shared with me. He read this book, I can't remember the name of it, all about sobriety and about alcohol as poison. And it's really stuck with me. And it's that at a party, nobody gives a shit about what's in your glass but you. Seriously. If everybody else is smoking, nobody cares that you're not. Only you do. Because we all have this desire to hide in plain sight. And the second you're the one that's not smoking, guess what? You're no longer blending in. You're sticking out. And so the issue isn't that you have trouble with the smoking. The issue is you feel uncomfortable feeling like there's a spotlight on you, being the real you. Same thing with being sober. Like a lot of people, when they're at a party and they're managing sobriety in the very beginning days in particular, you're so worried about what's in everybody else's glass. And when you pour yourself the club soda, or you put a splash of cranberry in there, or you pour yourself the water or the pop or whatever it may be, it's the fact that you're not doing the same thing as everybody else. And that makes us feel exposed. And so being willing to not be a chameleon and fit in just to fit in means embracing the real you, which means maybe being different. And that's cool. Robin said, why do you keep opening my jail cell and pushing me out? Because I want you to come out and play, Robin. That's why. Because human beings, their spirit starts to get squashed if you're locked up. Your heart and your soul start to feel like you can't express yourself. You don't get enough daylight. You're not seen. You don't have the freedom that you deserve in your life. And so I want you to get out of jail. I want you to be free. That's exactly why I'm sharing all this stuff. All right, it is 1:15 and I promised I would be downstairs by now. So I need to go, but in case nobody else tells you today, I want to be the one to tell you that I love you. Both the chameleon and the real you. And I want you to stop hiding in plain sight. I want you to let yourself out of jail. I want you to take the risk and have the courage to be seen. I want you to feel the freedom that comes from being willing to be exactly who you are and exactly who you're not. It's not easy because it's uncomfortable when you're the only one that's not drinking, or you're the only one that's not smoking, or you're the only one that's vegan, or you're the only one of your friends that exercise, or you're the only one that has an MLM business, or you're the only one that is divorced, or you're the only one in the relationship that's not happy. But the true freedom comes from being willing to stop hiding and just be you, to say what you mean, to talk about your feelings, to explore the things that naturally energize you. And trust me when I tell you, the people that need to find you, the career that is waiting for you, the dreams that you hope will come true, they can't find you if you're hiding. That's why it's so important that you let yourself out of jail and you're willing to be seen. All right, I got to go be seen on a stage downstairs in like 2 seconds. So I got to go. But tomorrow, I don't know what's happening or what the topic is. It's probably on here somewhere, but I can't find my paper. My team always does an incredible job producing me. I don't do a great job managing myself. Let me think. What else is I going to tell you? I don't know what time we are broadcasting tomorrow. Oh, we're doing brick by brick. I love this. Brick by brick by brick by brick. You're going to love this training tomorrow. So make sure you check it out. We're doing brick by brick. Thank you, Tracy. Thank you, everybody that helped us produce this broadcast. If you see us in San Diego today, make sure you say hello. We will be back in Boston tomorrow, which I'm very excited about, to see Chris and the kids and to see the team. And I want to thank you for tuning in. And, tell me before we go offline here, what's one thing you're going to do today to not be a chameleon? What's one thing you're going to do today, small thing, to allow yourself to be seen? I know for many of you, you're terrified to go to the gym, but the real you wants to. I know for many of you, you're thinking about quitting drinking, or you're thinking about eating healthy, or you're thinking about signing up for that writing class, or you're thinking about looking for another job. What's the one step that you can do that would actually allow you to be seen? Just a little step. Or maybe it's about drawing boundaries, that you're sick and tired of the way that the person that you're with is manipulating you, making you feel bad, and yet you stay silent on it. How about today is the day that the real you shows up and lays down the law? And then let's see what happens in that relationship. All right. I'll see you tomorrow. Oh, I got to turn this off.